Welcome everyone to our Building Your Confidence class. And this class is all about zippers. And we are going to be installing, let's see, one, two, three. Yeah, we're going to be working with four zippers. I can't count. A handbag zipper, an invisible zipper, and then two other regular zippers. And if you're signing in for this class, you should have gotten an email that outlines the supply requirements if you want to follow along. And if you have those, you can follow along with us. And we are going to work on the zipper installation. And then for each one of these, for 3 out of the 4 zipper installations, you'll be able to finish those up as projects after the class. And I'll give you instructions as to how to do that. And let's see, anything else? I think I just went over some of the housekeeping. Please ask any questions that anybody has out there. Ask questions. I think the more interactive, the better. It helps everyone. For those of you watching the class online, oops, I'm going to take my glasses off. I have a big glare in them. For those of you watching the class after it's taken place, hopefully you can benefit from some of the discussion that happens as well. While I'm sitting here getting ready for the class, I'm actually a little extra for all of you. I have a handbag zipper for the first project, and my handbag zippers came with, I bought them in a yard of tape, a roll of zipper tape, and they give you the zipper heads with them. And every time I teach, people want to know how you put a zipper, the zipper pull onto the zippers. And it's actually a lot easier than what you think it might be. So the trick is that on one side, you need to cut off about, less than 1/4 of an inch of the zipper tape and just leave the actual zipper itself and cut off the fabric that's next to it. And then you always put the zipper pulls on with the pointed side, let me see if I can get that. There you go. With the pointed side downwards. And I'm going to turn it the right side here. And you insert the side of the zipper tape that is not cut. Of course, let's see if I can do this when I'm not actually looking at it. We'll see. So I inserted the side of the tape that isn't cut. And now I'm taking the side of the tape where I cut the actual fabric off a little bit, and I'm going to push that up in there as far as I can get it, and it should go pretty far up. And now I can simply, this is the part I may have to turn it around. I didn't. All you do is pull the zipper, pull down, and you're zipped together, just like that. And I happen to put 2 on mine, and that's all that you do. So that's just a quick little thing about adding the zipper pulls onto your zipper tape if you bought it as tape. If you want to shorten your zipper, you can do that as well. I would need to, I'm going to redo this because you see it's a little bit, I've got a little bit of extra tape in here. I have found that when I'm going to have 2 zipper pulls like this, the evener I can get it on there, the better. And I think that, there, line those up pretty well. I'm going to do it again, see if I can't get rid of that little bubble of tape in between the 2 of them. Sometimes if I have that little bubble, I go in and I clip off just the very top of this, of the actual zipper there on that side. So there's just a tiny bit less of the actual zipper on this side than there is on the side with the whole zipper tape. And that allows me to get more of the zipper up in there so that I can get rid of that little bubble there. The other thing, and I'm going to turn it around towards me to do it, is if I hold onto the side that's cut while I'm pulling it down, that also helps to get a little bit of that bubble out of there as well. But I can't do that left-handed, so I have to do it this way. Ah! Okay, I'm going to have to look at it and do it. All right, let me get it up in there again and hold on to it. Oh, I can't hold on to that side. There, I got rid of it. Got rid of most of it. I'm just pulling it up a little bit. There. That really only happens when you have the two zipper pulls. If you've got one zipper, if you just have one zipper pull, you can get the bubble out by just zipping it to the end. But sometimes when you have two, I find you have to kind of play with it, or you end up with a little bit of zipper in between the two zipper pulls. So there we go. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is take the, I believe it's 10 by 14 piece of fabric that goes along with the handbag zipper. And we're going to attach the handbag zipper to it. I like the handbag zippers because they are so wide. This part of the zipper tape is a lot wider, so it gives you a lot more room to work with. And you're just going to take your fabric and place it down face up. And then you'll place your zipper tape on top of your fabric face down. And let me clip it twice and then turn it around and show you. The biggest thing is you want to leave a little bit of the zipper tape on either end, and we'll just be trimming that off later. So I've got the zipper tape is a little bit longer on each end, depending on the length of your zipper, and the length of your fabric could be longer than the other. And using the magic clips is ideal, but if you have pins, I would recommend that you pin it. See, I cannot find my pins, but I would recommend that you pin it so that your pins are going in the top and straight down. Oh, here's my pins. I knew I had them. The clips are super nice for zippers, but if you pin it, I would pin it that way. It makes it easy to take the pins out as you're sewing along. If your ends of your tape are a lot longer than your fabric, you can take your zipper pulls and pull them all the way to the right or to the left so that they're not on the fabric at all. My zipper tape is not that long, so I have the pulls down towards one end. And for me, I like to put them at the beginning of where I'm going to sew. So I have them close to the top here, and I'm going to be sewing down this edge, sewing the zipper tape on down this edge. And after I sew, oh, let me flip it this way so that you can see. After I sew down to about here, where my zipper pulls are, to about right there, right before where my zipper pulls are, I am going to stop and pull the zipper pulls all the way down to the bottom. That also will help smooth out my zipper as I'm going along sewing. When you have this wider zipper tape, oh, I made a mistake. You actually, if you're using the magic clips, you actually want the colored part or the curved part of your magic clip to be on the fabric side, because you're going to want to sew on the fabric side. I put my clips on backwards. So I'm going to turn them around. The flat edge of your zipper, of your magic clip, goes against the bed of your sewing machine, and it makes them slide along. And so what I'm going to do, you'll see it closely when I get down to the machine, is now the part of the zipper that is raised up on top of the zipper tape there, that is going to be next to the fabric, so that I'm going to put the edge of my presser foot right along the zipper teeth. And I am going to have my needle sew about a 3/8 inch seam, so that quite a bit of the zipper tape will show. That's another thing that I like about these wider zippers. You can have more of the zipper tape show. And when you're doing a pouch or a purse, sometimes that's really nice. So once you have it all clipped, I'm going to go ahead and put it under my machine here. And then I will describe what I'm doing so that you can see. There, you can see the machine there. I'm going to remove this clip so that you can see. So my zipper is right here. The zipper teeth are right here, right along here. I have the edge of this foot, the left edge of my foot right up against the edge of the zipper tape, or the zipper teeth, I'm sorry, it's right up there. And my needle is set on my machine so that I'm going to stitch it. My stitching line is going to be at about a little more than a quarter, almost 3/8. Looks like I need to go over just a little bit more. And as I'm sewing, I think it will be easier to see. Let me move these zipper teeth more out of the way there. I should have said up front, this is the simplest way to put a zipper into a bag or something. We're going to do, the next one that we do is going to have a little bit more to it, but I'm starting with the simplest way. And this is actually the way that we do it in our upcoming class on the Peacekeeper bag. This is the way the zipper is put in. It's just sewn straight to one piece of fabric. So hopefully we keep moving these zipper teeth out of the way. A little bit different than how I normally do it, but you can see. So the edge of my foot is right along the zipper teeth there. And I have about 3/8 of an inch. Let me put this up a little higher. Maybe you can see a little better. Ah, how's that? Can we make that the sewing machine, the spotlight, so that everybody can see that well? There. Now I set my screen so that I can see it well as well. Let me back up a little bit. Okay, let it focus. Did that get it to focus? Sorry, give me just a moment to, while you guys are getting ready. I'm waiting for my camera to decide it wants to autofocus. Ah, there it goes. There it goes. Let's give this a try. I think that's much better. I am using my stiletto here just to hold my fabric down to prevent any wrinkles. And you'll see that even though I have clipped my fabric to it, as I'm sewing my zipper, you know, I've got a little bit of movement, which is fine. For something like this, the zipper is not cut to length anyway, so that's fine. I'm going to now, I'm kind of running into where my zipper pulls are. So I'm going to pull those back up and out of the way. Again, one good way to do that is to cut your zipper tape a little bit longer Although I don't like to waste a lot of zipper tape, the longer it is, the easier it is a lot of times to attach your zipper, the more zipper tape that you have on either end. But I know we're all conscious of not wasting it at the same time, so. I can't tie the way so that you can see well. There we go. There we have it. So there it is, sewn on the first edge there. I typically then like to iron the seam at that point and top stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Sometimes, depending on the pattern for your bag, it's not good to top stitch it right away, and you'll see that on the next one that we make. I'll show you how you probably don't want to iron it and top stitch it right away, but for this one, it'll work just fine. So I've ironed my seam flat, and now I'm going to go back to my sewing machine, and I'm going to top stitch about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of the fabric, just to hold that fabric down nicely. And it looks like I need to move my needle over maybe just a little bit. There. And so I am, again, always on, especially for this technique, on a handbag zipper, I have the edge of my foot right up against the edge of the teeth. Oh, one thing I should have said, there'd been some discussion earlier about using a zipper foot, and your zipper foot looks like this. And you certainly could use your zipper foot on this if you wanted to. Part of the reason I don't use it is I wanted you to see how easy it is with these wider handbag zippers to just use your regular zipper foot, especially if you happen to have a machine that allows you to move your needle from side to side so that you can get your needle placed where you wanted it. I think that using a regular foot is better because you have a larger width here of your presser foot that's on both your zipper and your fabric, keeping things nice and flat for you. So in this kind of an application, I like to use my regular foot, although there's no reason why you couldn't use a zipper foot. If I was using my zipper foot, as you can see here, I could run it up against the edge of my tape because I can move my needle way over to the side. In some sewing machines, if you don't have the ability to move your needle from side to side, a zipper foot could be a little bit problematic because it's not wide enough to run along the actual zipper teeth to keep it nice and straight. Running the edge of your foot against the zipper teeth really makes your seam nice and straight without having to do a whole lot of work other than continually keeping your zipper teeth against the edge of your zipper foot there. So that's why my preference is to not use a zipper foot for this application anyway. I'm going to stop and move my zipper holes all the way to the end. Oh, sorry, I bumped the camera there. If you don't have a stiletto, you can always use your seam ripper to keep your fabric flat as you're sewing. Whatever you have handy. So now I have the one side of the zipper sewn down. Another thing, particularly when you're using zipper tape like I am, or even if you've used a regular zipper, but you've cut part of it off to make it shorter, you do run the risk of unzipping and having your zipper pull right off the end of the tape. So I want to show you what you can do to prevent that, particularly while you're making your bag or making your project till you get sewn over the ends of the zipper. What you can do is just run a very wide zigzag stitch. So I've set my machine to a very wide zigzag stitch. I put the zipper down under my presser foot, and I have the center of the zipper teeth aligned to the center of my foot. And I have also put my feed dogs down. And by putting the feed dogs down, the machine is not going to move the zipper through to sew. It's just going to sew in the same spot. So when I sew that wide zigzag, it's just sewing those two ends of the zipper tape very close together, the zipper teeth very close together, so that, show you down here, so that you really can't, easier up here, you really can't pull your zipper pulls off the end of the fabric that way. So that's a little trick there in case you didn't know that. I'm going to go ahead and do that on the other side as well. So I'm just stitching to lock those zipper teeth together tightly so I don't accidentally run my zipper pull off. Okay. And then after that, we're going to do the exact same thing that we just did on the other side. Anne, how you doing? You caught up with us?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Top stitching.
Okay. To do it on the other side, I'm simply folding the fabric in half, folding the fabric up here, and aligning the other long edge of the fabric against the zipper. So let me start out here and show you. I've got my zipper sewn on, simply laying this fabric down, folding the long edge up to meet the other edge. And I'm going to use my clips to clip this together and repeat what I just did on the other side.
Okay.
The biggest thing that you want to try to do is to match the short edges up. We're going to turn this into a real quick pencil bag or something, a little bit longer. I had you have a little bit longer of a zipper so you could get more practice attaching these zippers. And I'm going to clip this together. And there we are. So now I have it clipped, and this time I remember to put my clips up on the fabric side. Going to put it into my machine and repeat what I just did. Putting my So I've got I'm on the other side now. I have the edge of my foot. Well, I've got to go back to a straight stitch, and I've got to put my feed dogs back up because I had those down. And I have the edge of my foot aligned with the edge of the zipper. And I'm going to make again about a 3/8 inch seam. The edge of the fabric is lined up with this far edge of the zipper tape. So the edge of the fabric is lined up here. The edge of the fabric is lined up here. And the edge of the presser foot is right up against those zipper teeth on the other side. Now on this side, I want to try to keep my fabric. You can see I have a little bit of fabric in here that I need to ease in. I don't want this fabric to slip down because it's quite even down here on the end with the other side of the fabric because of the way that I folded it. So I really want to try to ease any of that fabric in instead of letting it slide down here. So this is a perfect application for using this stiletto to ease this fabric in. And by just pushing the fabric, you'll get it eased in there without creating any little what I want to call it, little puckers or anything in there. I was teaching our Girl Scouts how to do this the other day, and they really like the stiletto. They now want me to buy them all one. I was surprised that they could get the hang of using it. I was really impressed how well they did.
Mhm.
All right, I'm moving my zipper pulls all the way down so they're out of the way. Pulled over here. Oh, sorry, I keep putting my hand in front there so that you can't see. Not to do that. Have the same thing done on the other side. And now I'm going to turn this inside out. And this is the reason why I had you put the stops in at the end of the zipper if they're not there naturally, because we're going to want to keep those zipper pulls down towards the end as we do this final top stitching on the second side. So there's that. And now I'm going, so I have it I have my zipper pulls at the end of either end. Now can be a little bit tricky to do this top stitching here, but I think that you can make it happen. You'll have to just watch that you're not catching your fabric in. And if you'd prefer to skip this top stitching step, you certainly can. It's not a requirement. I just really like to top stitch things myself. But as you can see, when I move my hand away, I've got to continue to pull this fabric back so that I don't catch the other side of the zipper in my top stitching here. The first side is definitely easier to top stitch here. Let me try to, there we go. Oh, there you go. I think you can see that quite well. Looks like I need to be over one, and it looks like I need to thread my needle. When I teach my next class, I'm going to teach it using a new sewing machine that I got. And on that sewing machine, you do not have to even thread your needle. So that's a lot of fun. I know in one class I did recently, I was showing people and they thought it was really fun. And maybe I can make some commission because everyone will go out and buy one of these sewing machines. I doubt it, but can always try. So what I'm having to do is, as I sew a little bit further, I have to keep pulling the bag down here, pulling the fabric down, I'm sorry, so that I don't get it caught underneath. And I'm sorry, it's very hard for you to see that, and I don't mean to bump either. flatten it so that you can see again. There we go, maybe. There we go. It takes a little bit of patience to continue pulling the fabric so that you don't catch it. And like I said, you can completely skip the top stitching if you would like as well. So now we're done with that.
Kristene, does the top stitching help to keep the zipper in place? Is that why we're doing it, or?
No, in this case, not really. It's more just the look. I like the look of having the top stitching in this particular case. Sometimes it'll help keep it in place. When we do the Peacekeeper bags, there are the piece that we're sewing the zipper to is actually quilted. And so top stitching it there prevents the fabric underneath from getting caught up in the zipper. In this particular case, it doesn't really matter, but other times it's more about keeping the zipper, the fabric underneath from getting caught up in the zipper. And then to finish this off, which I'm not going to take the time to do, but to finish it off, to make a pencil case, you can do two choices. One, you can kind of fold it like I have here, where it's flat in the middle. I've just put the zipper tape in the middle and folded the bag flat. And then I would turn it inside out, actually. I just wanted you to see what I had done. So one option, let me turn it inside out so you can see it, is to lay your bag flat, put the zipper tape right down the middle of the bag, and then just sew down each end with about a 1/2 inch seam, trim the seam, and then I always use a zigzag stitch to just finish off the seam a little bit. So that's one option. I make these a lot for colored pencils, so it makes it nice. Excuse me, if the zipper is in the middle like this, it makes it nice because it opens up wide and you can see the pencils that are in it. You can see all the colors. So I like to do them that way. Another option is to simply fold the zipper at the top, excuse me, at the top, and sew down from the top edge down and do the same thing. In that case, your zipper will just be at the top. So it just depends on how you want your bag to look. I'm going to grab a drink of water here. For me, I usually put it in the center because the bag opens wide and you can see everything in it. So there's one project for you. I'm going to keep moving on to the next one so we can keep as close to an hour as we can. For the next one, you are having just a regular zipper. So this zipper tape is not as wide as the other zipper tape was. And then you have 4 pieces of fabric, I believe 9 by 7. So 2 for the outside, 2 for the inside. And what I'm going to do in this case is when we get done putting it together, I'll show you how to sew it together for a lined zipper bag. And there's a little bit of a trick to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the inside and lay that down flat on my surface. I'm going to then lay my zipper tape. Let me see. Let me get it. Let me make sure I get this right before I tell you. I'm going to lay my zipper tape face down against there. Yes. And then I'm going to take my outside fabric. Oh, and by the way, one of the long edges is ironed down by 1/4 inch. I believe that was in the instructions. So you've got a 9 by 7 piece of fabric, and one of the 9-inch edges is ironed down by 1/4 inch. And basically I'm going to sandwich the zipper in between there. Now on this one, if you got the longer zipper, you can see that the zipper is actually it's longer. And for this type of installation, having that zipper, the actual zipper pull way over to the right on the bag is really important. Putting in a zipper this way gets a little bit hard if you have to deal with continually moving the zipper pull down like I did on the last one. So I've got my zipper sandwiched. So in my case, the orange is going to be on the outside of the bag. The inside of the bag is going to be my blue. My zipper tape is pointing towards the outside of the bag here. And now I'm going to use pins. For this one, I would recommend using pins instead of the clips, at least on this side. And I'll show you why in just a minute. What you need to make sure that you're doing is that you're getting your zipper sandwiched in between the two layers of fabric pretty nicely. So I have my orange fabric there lined up right with the edge of the zipper itself, the zipper teeth. And then on the back for the blue, you can see I also have it lined up very well against the edge of the zipper teeth. I guess the back is a little bit harder to see because those zipper teeth are flat on the back, but you'll be able to see on yours. So I'm just pinning this one all together. Oh, and look what happened. I did not get it straight on this edge. See, my lining isn't matching, or my outside, my lining is a little bit shorter. So I'm going to go ahead and try to line up the two edges of my fabric a little bit better. Not a huge deal for this little sample, but let's try to do it the right way. I'm going to go and do that again to make sure the edges are lined up real well. I'm also pinning so that my pin heads are on the outside of the fabric because I always want my seam to look the best on the outside. If the fabric on the inside is not perfectly straight against the zipper teeth, it's not going to be a huge deal because anyone who opens up your bag to look that closely shouldn't be looking at your bag that closely anyway. So I've got it. I evened up the edges so that my inside and outside fabric are even on the short edges. And then I have my zipper sandwiched right between the two pieces of fabric. And each piece of fabric is ironed over by 1/4 inch. So now I'm going to go to the sewing machine. Again, this is an application where using your zipper foot, oftentimes I still use my regular foot, but using your zipper foot can be very helpful for this one because especially depending on which kind of sewing machine you have, and again, your ability to move your needle left and right, a zipper foot may allow you to get a lot closer to the edge of your fabric, which is what you need to do for this one. So I have my zipper foot this time, and my zipper foot is lined up against the zipper tape here, just like I had done before. In my case, I have it lined up over on the left side. Depending on which way you pinned from, you may be on the other side. My needle is going to come down, and it's going to be, about 1/8 inch away from the zipper tape, from the zipper teeth. Might put it over one more. But in this case, I really want my needle as close to the edge of the zipper teeth themselves as I can get it to hold that fabric down and make it nice and neat there. I also want to make sure that it's catching in the fabric underneath. So that's why I have it well pinned. I have several pins in mind so that I can make sure the fabric underneath is held in well. And also, I want it sewn very closely again so that this fabric doesn't end up getting caught in the zipper when I unzip it. I have found that the wider the seam is across here next to this zipper, if I tried to sew close to the end of the zipper tape, it leaves more fabric here, and that fabric can tend to get caught in the zipper itself. Whereas if I sew as close as I can to the edge of the fabric here, it won't get caught up in the zipper when I unzip it. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And now I'm gonna have to pull a little bit. How come my sewing machine doesn't always do exactly what I want it to do? See if you can see this. There. So very important, again, I'm using my stiletto to make sure that some of this bulk of fabric gets under there without causing a little pleat or a little ruffle. And by just easing that fabric in, it should go right in there. Even the process of putting pins in sometimes causes a little bit of a ruffle there in the fabric. Take this out. We'll continue using all that in. And there is my zipper. And let's see how proud I'm pretty proud of that. So there it is. Give you a close-up view. By riding the edge of my zipper foot right along the zipper tape, it makes for a pretty straight seam. I have basically done the top stitching and stitching the zipper together all at one step. There are ways that you could do it separately, but I like this way. And I will show you a little bit on the back what I was talking about. And if we weren't under a time, I would probably take this part out just to show you. If you can see very close to the end there, and this what tends to happen for everybody, as I got closer to the end, my back fabric, I probably needed another pin about right here. As I got closer to the end, my lining fabric on the back side of the zipper slipped up a little bit, and I have a little bit wider of a seam allowance in here on this back. There is a chance that as I'm zipping and unzipping, if I can show you, it's just a little bit more opportunity for that fabric to get caught in there. If I was making this a nice present for somebody or something, I would probably rip out the seam for that last inch or so and resew it, but I'm not going to for this time. Other than that, on the back side, it's as even as on the front side. And now, just as we did before, we're going to do the same thing on the other end, making sure I'm matching up the edges of the fabric. Just as I did before, let me lay this one down. Going to pin it again on the top. And I'm going to learn my lesson from where I pinned it the last time and pin it closer to that second edge. And I bet I won't have that happen again. Kind of like that rule. Measure twice and cut once. There should be a rule that says use twice as many pins as you think that you need. And things will go much easier for you. So here I am down to the end. So I have it pinned again all the way along, just like I did before. And I'm going to sew again, but notice I have pins closer to both edges this time instead of just the first one. Repin this just a little bit to make sure my edges are even. Now, while I said to make sure all the short edges are even as well, also know that for something like this, when you put the bag together, you also have the opportunity to trim excess fabric off as well. So you have to really understand your pattern to know where you really need to have things exact and where you have the opportunity to maybe trim things a little bit as well. All right, so this one I ended up putting the same exact way as the last one. So I'm just going to sew exactly as I did right down this side. You get it started. You can watch as I sew right down there. And there we go. And now it's on the other way. And looky there, it's much better on the back as well. So now the little trick that I have for making this into a zipper bag. So this one will be a zipper bag with the zipper at the top. The little trick for this is to take your like fabric. So take your outside fabric and put those two pieces together. Take your lining fabric, put those two pieces together. So your bag is like this, right? Most important thing is to make sure your zipper pull is back inside the bag. So my zipper pull was out here. I pushed it down inside the bag. And then by just pinning these together, and I want to show you how to pin the ends of the zippers together. So on this side, which is the side without the zipper pull, so this is the end of the zipper here, I simply folded the zipper together. I think you can see that there. I folded it together and kind of pinched it, and I put a pin in here to hold it. And I'm going to sew right over the zipper that way. I'm actually going to sew all the way around the bag, but I wanted to show you that part. And then on the other side, sometimes I use pins, sometimes I use the clips for this, doesn't really matter. On the other side where you have the two ends of the zipper, right? Again, my zipper pulls on the inside. Where I have the two ends of the zipper, I'm just going to put those two together in the same manner. Take my fabric and press it with my fingers. So again, I have these are the two ends of the zipper here are just held together with my finger. And I pulled the outside fabric to this side, and then I'm just going to pin it to hold that zipper in place the way that I would like it to be. So I've got that zipper pinned together very nicely. And I've got the, oh, I didn't pin the other side on this one here. Pin the other side. I only pinned. So I've got both sides of the zipper pinned in there very nicely. I would proceed to pin all the way around the bag, all the way around, all the way around, except for you're going to need to leave a hole in the bottom of the inside. So this is my lining, and in the inside, I would not sew between where these clips, where I'm putting the clips. So I'd leave about, I don't know, an inch and a half, 2 inches. I guess that's 2 inches that aren't sewn together. I would start here. I would sew all the way around, sew all the way around, sew all the way around, sew all the way around to this clip. And then I have my zipper bag. I would sew with about, probably a 5/8 inch seam allowance. Then I would trim the fabric closer to the seam allowance and zigzag around it. And there you go. Now you've learned how to put in a zipper in a bag similar to this. And there's lots of variations of these types of zipper bags that you can make. I think the biggest thing is just understanding how to sandwich the zipper in and where to put your zipper foot if you're going to use a zipper foot, and how close to the edge to sew. So there's that one. So that's project number 2. Now I'm going to show you, this was something new that I learned that I wish I had known it before, because let me show you my little sample. So a lot of times when you go to make a bag, and the very first one that we did is kind of an example of this. On the very first one, when you go to sew down this edge and sew that zipper in there, inside of your seam allowance, you end up with a little bit of the zipper. And the way the zipper lays, it lays okay, but it's not real professional looking. But there is a way to basically put an end on your zipper, which is what I've done in this little bag here. So I've added these little end pieces on the end of my zipper here, there, and let me work with my camera here. And by doing that, in my seam allowances down here, there is no zipper. What's in my seam allowance is the little tabs that I put on the end of the zipper. And particularly when you're making a bag with a flat zipper like this, it just makes it lay really nice and flat. I don't have that bulk in the seam allowance. It looks pretty neat. And when you flip it over and look at it on the other side, it looks very professionally put together. I'm not going to take it all the way apart to show you, but you'll see when you look at yours, the inside of the bag looks really, really professionally put together. And this is very easy to do. Probably the hardest part of it is measuring how long you want your zipper to be. So if you were going to do something like this, you would know which size your bag is, and you would say, okay, from one end to this end of my bag is 7 inches. I'm just making that up, whatever it would be. And if you want the little extra tabs here, maybe you want those each to be 1 inch long. Well, all that you do is on your zipper, you would measure your zipper to be, say, 5 inches, right? So the end of my, let's say edge to edge of my little bag, it's 7 inches. But I want some of the tabs that I add to my zipper to actually be on the end. So really, I only need my zipper to be 5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and measure mine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, roughly 5. And I'm going to cut the end off my zipper. Now I got to be careful, because if I cut my zipper right here where I measured 5 inches, I'd kind of be in trouble because my zipper pulls over here. And actually, I'm going to measure again because I think I measured from the end instead of where the actual zipper ends. So let me measure that again. 1, 2, 3. Yep, I did. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so right here is about 5 inches from where the zipper actually ends. From where the zipper ends over to my hand here is 5 inches. But I've got to put I'm going to mark it with a clip here. I got to make sure my zipper pull is inside the part that I'm going to cut. And now I'm just going to cut off my zipper. I'm going to add about a 1/2 inch to it for some seam allowances. But again, you're going to be able to adjust the length of your zipper by the tabs you end up sewing on the end. So now I have my zipper like this. Now I need to do what we did before, and I want to hook this end of the zipper together, just like we did earlier. I got to change my feet so I can sew a zigzag. There we go. And I'm going to put my zipper tape down here, like I did before. Good. There we go. Move my hand out of the way. Make my zigzag as wide as I can. Oh, got to be over a little bit more. There we go. There's my stiletto. Well, you can see that just like I did before. I'm zigzagging right over top of there. And I've got that end so that my zipper pull can't come off this end and it can't come off that end. So now this is the easiest part. You're going to take your little tabs are cut 4 inches by an inch. I think I cut mine like 1.25 inches so they'd be a little bit wider. You're going to take your tabs, iron them in half with right sides together. So I've ironed it in half with right sides together. I'm going to trim my thread here. I'm now going to put it onto the end of my zipper. So I've now put my zipper in between the two ends of this zipper of this tab. And I'm just going to sew a very small seam. In my case, it looks like I need to sew maybe 3/8 of an inch because I need to be just beyond where I zigzagged across to hold the edge of my zipper together. And I'm going to come over here. Yeah, looks like I need to be about there. And I'm going to just sew straight across here. And if you just go very slow over your zipper, you shouldn't break your needle or anything. Everyone's always worried about breaking their needle. But if you go very slow, your sewing machine will just go right over top of the zipper teeth and you shouldn't have a problem. I say that and then I'm probably going to break a needle here, but you shouldn't. Then once that's sewn together, I just take my tab and fold it the other way. Oops, look, I didn't sew quite far enough because you can see where I sewed my stop. So let me do it again. Make sure I get it over far enough this time. Look a little better. Yes. And now I have the tab on the end of my zipper. And I'm going to do that on the other side. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to iron that tab down. like that. I've ironed it. And now I'm going to top stitch it down. Top stitching right next to the edge of the seam, about 1/8 of an inch. And I've stitched that down like that. And then what I like to do is trim these threads up so that that tab is the exact same size as my zipper. And I would repeat those steps on the other side of the zipper as well. And then I would sew this zipper into my project this as if it were one entire zipper. I would just start at this end of my tab here and sew right along. And I put that in my project and sew it in as if it were my zipper. And then when I go to sew the sides down or whatever, here in that seam, allowance is just fabric and not a zipper. Plus, I think it looks pretty cool. And you can adjust, you know, how big you want the tabs on either side. I have seen, I've done it myself where, say, I have a really long bag like this, but I only want it to open, you know, from, you know, I don't want it to open all the way. I could have very long tabs in there and yet sew it together as if it were a zipper, you know, a zipper, sew it in there just like any other zipper. And it looks really neat. Now, if I was using a handbag zipper to make tabs on it versus a regular zipper, the only thing is you just need to measure how wide your zipper tape is. I believe this is a good inch, a little bit more than an inch wide. So you probably want to cut it at least 1.5 inches. Cut your tab piece at least 1.5 inches wide so that you've got plenty of room there, plenty of width there. But that's all that you do. So that was the third application of a zipper or way to sew in a zipper. Some people may think is the most difficult, but I'm here to tell you it's not the most difficult, which is to put in an invisible zipper. All you have to know is the trick. So some sewing machines, you can actually buy an invisible zipper foot. And with the invisible zipper foot, it actually has a ridge in the bottom of it. Here's my sample of an invisible zipper, just to make sure we all know what it is. So an invisible zipper is one in which you cannot see the zipper tape. I haven't sewn, this is going to end up being a pillow. I haven't sewn all sides together yet, but once it's sewn, you know, you won't see any of the zipper. When you zip and unzip it, that zipper tape stays hidden. It's right in between the two pieces of fabric. And I did two pieces of fabric, different pieces of fabric on purpose so that you could see. When I unzip my invisible zipper, you know, when I unzip it, I guess I can probably see the teeth. But once I zip it back up and those two pieces of fabric are together, I can't see that zipper tape at all. And it does that because of the way the invisible zipper is made. If you have your invisible zipper with you and you unzip it a bit and you look at the right side, you'll see that the zipper teeth themselves, part of the zipper tape goes over the top of those zipper teeth. So if I'm looking at it here, unlike the other zippers, you can't really see those zipper teeth because they're behind the tape. Whereas in a regular zipper, if I just hold it up like that, you can see the zipper teeth because there isn't a piece of zipper tape going over top of them. And some sewing machines they come with, or you can buy an invisible zipper foot. And the way that works is when you put your zipper in, that foot has a ridge on the bottom of it, and the zipper feet for this invisible zipper will fit right in that ridge, and they'll allow you to get your needle right down in there because the zipper feet are riding the zipper teeth are riding right on the ridge of that invisible zipper foot. But you can do it with a regular zipper foot as well, just as easy. I would not recommend using a regular foot. I would recommend using a zipper foot for this, a regular zipper foot. And all you need to do is iron this part flat. So the part where the zipper tape is going over top of the zipper teeth, you just want to use an iron, make sure it's not too hot, but I have my iron set to where I always do, you know, on a cotton. I'm not going to put the iron down and hold it there for a long time because I don't want to take a chance of melting the teeth. But I'm just going to go over the top of the zipper tape. So I'm ironing on the zipper tape, not on the teeth. And I am ironing it. I'm going to iron this first part and so that you can see the difference. So up here is where I've ironed the zipper tape flat. And down here, it's not ironed flat and it's going over top of those zipper teeth. So again, I pulled it out on the zipper tape side. So my zipper teeth are down on my ironing surface and I'm ironing on the tape and I'm ironing that little groove out of there. And not to worry because it's going to come back in a minute, but first we sew it on. And I bought an extra long invisible zipper so I don't have to iron the entire zipper. But here I go again. I've got the teeth down on my surface. Oh, no, I don't. Let me fix that. Now I have the zipper teeth down on my ironing surface and I'm ironing that fold out of the zipper tape. So I'm doing that. And now I have a zipper much like a regular zipper, but don't worry, like I said, that groove's going to come back. And then I made these so that I can make some little pillows to set on a bench in my front hallway. So these are just 12 by 12 pieces of fabric, just a very simple pillow. Maybe I'll embroider something on it. I'm not sure. I am going to lay my zipper. Let's see. Let's make sure I get this correct. I'm laying my zipper tape face up. So I have my zipper pull on top. My zipper is face up. And I am putting my fabric right sides together with the zipper. So I have my fabric. I'm going to put it face down. So my fabric and my zipper are right sides together. Let me make sure I've got this right. Yes, I do. This is another application where I would recommend you buy a zipper much longer than the size of zipper that you need. It'll just make it much, much easier. If I was making a 12-inch pillow, I wouldn't buy a 14-inch zipper. I'd buy a 22, which is what I bought. Just makes it much, much easier. So now I have used my clips and I have it clipped and I did it again. I should have put my clips on the other side. So I'm clipping my clips so that the right side of the clip is up on the right side of the fabric. Try it again. Before I show this, I want to show you. So what happens is I've got the right, this is the one that I've already done. So I've got the right side of my zipper. I've got the right side of my fabric aligned to my zipper. I'm going to sew on the fabric side down. And then when I flip it over, I would never top stitch this one. I would never top stitch because you would see that top stitching. The idea is normally you would have the same fabric on either side, and you don't really want anyone to be able to tell where the zipper is. So you wouldn't top stitch it, but when you turn it back over, that zipper ends up folding in again underneath. And it's really kind of neat how it works. You have to kind of do it to really see. But let me sew this for you. Putting my regular zipper foot on. And the key for this one is lots of clips. I probably could have put in another clip or two myself. But the key is this is important, so I want to make sure that you can see it well. So here is my zipper foot here. In my case, the left edge of my zipper foot is against the zipper tape, and I am working to sew as close to the edge of that zipper tape as I possibly can. So I have my zipper as far over as I can, or my needle, I'm sorry, I said. I have my needle as far over as I can. Let me sew a couple of stitches to get it attached, and then I'll stop and show you as well. And you can even probably see, you may be able to see as I'm sewing, and definitely as you sew yours, you'll be able to see how that zipper tape begins to fold right back over where it was. Kind of like a magic. Even though I've ironed it flat for a minute there, when I begin sewing basically in the crease of where that fold was, it forces that zipper tape to fold right back over the way that it was. If I had a invisible zipper foot here, the difference would be that as I'm sewing, my foot would actually be going over the edge of this tape, and the edge of these zipper teeth would be riding underneath the foot. So that's the difference between an invisible zipper foot and just using a regular zipper foot. And for an invisible zipper foot, you don't have to iron the tape out to begin with, because the action of the foot keeps right. I always think I'm going to buy an invisible zipper foot, and then I go, no, I don't think I really need to, because this seems to work just as well. So let me go all the way to the end. And when I go all the way to the end and I flip it back around, let me zip it. You can really see it when you zip it. Now, when I put the second one on there, you'll really be able to see it. But when I zipped it shut, it pulled the fabric over, and the fabric is going exactly where I want it to. It's going right down the middle of that zipper tape, and you're not going to be able to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and do the second side, if you'll bear with me for a minute to see it. And of course, if you've got a 12-inch by 12-inch piece of fabric and a 12-inch pillow form, when you're making your pillows, I always cut my pillows the same dimensions as the pillow form. So if I'm using a 12-inch by 12-inch pillow form, I'm going to cut my fabric 12 inches by 12 inches. But if you go and buy one of those, you can show everyone how you have an invisible zipper. And then, of course, you can always unzip your case off of your pillow and wash it. And that works like magic as well. So here I've clipped it to the other side. Okay. What is wrong with me today? putting my clips on the wrong way. Heavens, good thing that they're easy to turn around. So see, we all do things backwards. I have the clips going the right way this time. Put it under here. I'm going to sew it from the same direction so I don't have to move the needle. And I'm going to sew it a little bit and then let you see it as well. There. And again, right as I'm sewing there, that zipper tape is folding right back over right where it should be. Kind of like magic. Now I have the second one done. And let me zip it up. Voila. You can't see it. Now, of course, I will press that down, but even without pressing it, you can't see how it brings the fabric right where it's supposed to be. So then to make this into a pillow, you would, again, I would press my fabric, my seams first. I would put my zipper to the inside. I would do exactly as I said on the other bag and sew that together. So that's one way. Another way, a bit of a fancier way to do it, would be to cut my my pieces a little bit differently so that I could actually put my zipper in the middle of my pillow. So if I was going to do that, this 1 12-inch piece where I put my zipper in, I probably would have made 2 pieces that were like 6.5 inches by 12 inches and 6.5 inches by 12 inches and put my zipper in the middle of those. And then that way my zipper would be going down through the middle of the back of the pillow. It just depends on how you want to do it. Oftentimes I see the zippers right in the seam of the pillow as well. So either way, in this case, you're going to do it in the seam and you're just going to sew down around and around. In this case, you don't have to leave an opening because your zipper is right there and you'll be able to unzip your zipper and have your pillowcase. And if you guys want to hang on for about 3 minutes, I'll do that part for you and you'll be able to see the finished project. While I am doing this, if anybody who is on with us has any questions about anything we've gone through, I can answer those for you. If there's any questions out there. If not, I'm just going to flip right around this. Of course, I would have evened up my edges before I did this. Or if I wasn't doing this for a demonstration in a class, I would have evened up my edges. And go around the third edge. And when I'm done, I'll have a couple of St. Patrick's Day pillows for my front entryway to set on my little bench there. And here we go. I've got my zipper there. Of course, I would trim my ends off and probably finish the edges with a nice zigzag stitch. And there's my zipper. Yay, ta-da! So everybody thinks invisible zippers are difficult, but they're really not. Just a little trick of ironing flat that edge. So thank you, everyone. I know we ran a little bit over on class time, but we managed to get through all of our different zipper installation techniques. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to email me at sewingwithkristene@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And let me just mention that this class goes along with our 2 other kit classes, which are a clam up bag, a by Annie clamshell bag with a zipper that has a double zipper on it. And then our Peacekeeper bag, which is great for putting your project pieces in to keep them handy while you're waiting to come to class. So you can bring them to class in your little Peacekeeper bag. So thanks for joining us, everybody. See you next time.